So in this video, we are going to be creating our second column. We are going to be putting it over here on the right hand side, and that is going to be an image. Okay, so make sure you have an image inside of your project folder. Okay, so make sure you do that. Make sure you have an image inside of your project folder. And now we are in our text editor. What we need to do, once again, we need to create a column 6. Okay, so we need to create another div, and make sure you put the div inside of the row, not inside of the column, inside of your row underneath your first column, as I'm doing here. So you say div, and we are going to use the same class of column 6. We're going to use the same class of column 6, and remember the column 6 have a width of 50%, so it's going to take a width of 50% of the screen, just like the first column. And what we are going to be doing here, once again, let me create some space here. We are still going to be adding a div, another div, because this div is important because we might be styling this content that is going to be inside this div in the future. So this is very important, as I have said before. So what is going to be inside here is going to be an image. So we'll say img, to put an image, img source, and then the image I have here, let's go over here. The image, the name of the image, as you can see here, is special dish. Okay, it's a JPEG image. So we are going to say special dish.jpg, as you can see. So now what we need to do now is refresh this on our web page. So let's refresh. Now I think we are having a problem here. As you can see, our image is underneath our first column here, over here, and this is not what we want. We want this image side by side with this first column. Okay, we want the image to be positioned over here. Now the reason it is like this is because we gave the column a margin left of 30%. We didn't give the content. We gave this column a margin left of 30%. We didn't give the content, so we need to work with the content instead of the column. So now how to do that? Let's go back to our web page, the index.html here. As you can see, if we go back to our CSS, we gave this column a margin left of 30%. So we need to give the content and not the column. So this is the reason I always tell you to create a div. You can see this spare div inside of here. So this is the content we need to be working with. We don't need to move the column. This is the column, but this is the actual content. So we need to be working with the content. We don't need to move the column. We need to move the content. So that's why I always say create a div, because we might be styling the content inside of this div. So now how to do this? We need to copy this class. We need to copy this class out. We need to cut it out, and then we paste it inside here, inside the content. So we'll say class, and then we'll say we are going to paste it now. Now we have done this. So let's go back to our styles of CSS here. We need to follow the working tree. So we'll say div. Okay, so now we'll say div dot left side call. We go back to our index.html here. So you can see after the div, we have our class of left side column. Okay, so we are following the working tree. So now we have actually we are now working with the content and not the column. We are working with the content and not this column over here. So now let's go back to our web page now and refresh this. Now if we refresh, now you can see we have our image side by side with the first column. Now you can see we have pushed these two headings with a margin left of 30%, as you can see here. Now what we need to do now, we need to move this one over here. We need to move this one from the left, also a margin left of 30%. Okay, so what we need to do now, let's go back to our web page. We need to copy this class, and you can see another div I created here. This is the reason I always say create a div. So we'll say class, and then let's paste the same class. So these two div now, they have the same class, and they are going to shift with a margin left of 30%. So if I go over to our web page now and refresh this, Now you can see they are now shifted from the left hand side of the screen with a margin of 30%. So this is looking good. So we have actually shifted the content and not the column. We shifted the content and not the column. Keep that in mind. We didn't shift the column. We didn't give the column 6 a margin left of 30%. We gave the content and not the column. Keep that in mind. We gave the content and not the column. Okay. So now what we actually need to do here, this is looking nice. Yes, this is looking nice. I think what we need to do here, we need to shift this image a little bit from the first column. So let's go down here to the image, and I also gave a pair div here as well. So this is always a good practice, as you know. Now we are not going to make the same mistake. We are not going to be putting it inside of the column. We are not going to be shifting the column. We are actually going to be shifting the content and not the column. So the content, which is this div now. So say class, and this class we are going to call it, we're not going to call it left side column. We are going to call this right side column. Right side column. So let's go back to our styles of CSS and style this. So now we'll say div dot right side column. So we are going to give this half the margin of our first column. So we are going to give this a margin left of 15%. Yeah, 15%. So let's refresh this. I just want this image to shift a little bit. So we refresh now. Now you can see we have our image perfectly aligned. You can see it has shifted a little bit from the first column. So this is looking very good. All we need to do now is to make this section mobile responsive, because as you can see, as we are reducing the width of this screen, this is not looking good. So in our next video, we are going to actually make this section mobile responsive. So I will see you guys in the next video.